welcome back to Char'Nese Grad School. As promised, I'm going to give you an update about my project details, but also give you tips on how to approach yours, and then just tips that I'm learning along the way as I'm in this project process for completing my master's program. So first things first, I think it's important to understand that your project is going to change all throughout your time in your master's or PhD program, whether you're in whatever program you're in. Honestly, your thesis, your project, dissertation, whatever you have to do is going to be shifted, changed, and you're going to have to be okay with that. So I started with an idea. As always, whatever you want to research, you start with the idea of what you're thinking, what you're doing, and then it develops into something different. And you're going to have faculty members, you're going to have mentors who look at your idea and say, no, this is not going to work, maybe think about it this way, or give you other suggestions on how to approach your own topic. But just be open to having your stuff critiqued, and don't take it personal, because their expertise is helpful and they're trying to help you. But on that same coin, it's important to know that sometimes their ideas don't align with what you see in your head. They don't align with what you see for your project to be. So sometimes you take what they give you with a grain of salt, even though they might be wise in whatever subject area. It's important that you stay true to your own integrity, and that you basically don't give in just because they think it's going to be your way, because ultimately you're going to be the one conducting this project, conducting this thesis. You're going to be doing the work. And so it's important that just because the higher up tells you, oh, we want you to do it this way, you do it and not be happy, because that won't be helpful, and it won't produce any quality work to the industry that you're trying to go into if you're producing something just because a faculty or mentor or whoever said it's going to be the best thing and produce the best results. But you have to do something that is key to you, important to you, and something that you can stick with and hone in on throughout your whole time. So now I'm going to go into my own project details. So I believe I told you all before, but my 14-year-old cousin was killed over this past summer, the summer of 18, and the way that stories were reported on his murder were very heartbreaking to me. I'm angry, I'm still heartbroken at the way that these news stories reported on this 14-year-old boy. And from that point on, I wanted to change that. And so I came into my master's program originally thinking about women and representation of women of color in the media, and how we can boost that and make it more accurate. But then on that same side, I witnessed what happened to my cousin, and I said, I can't let this go on, because specifically black boys don't get that love, don't get that holistic view of who they are as people, complex beings, on television, in movies, in news, all of that. They don't get that love. And so I really want to be able to at least start it on the television side, getting those journalists aware that they play a role in perpetuating these stereotypes, and that they are important when it comes to telling these stories and framing these stories, because it's important, and it's more than a single story. They're more than the single story that they report on. And so I really want to change that. And so what that will look like for my project is, I'm planning to be, y'all pray for me, I'm planning to be in New York or DC for my fall semester. Again, this is an accelerated program, so my program is 3 semesters. So the last semester I plan to be abroad, as they call it, and having an internship placement at a news organization. And from there, I really would like to dive in and talk to journalists on the ground, get their perspectives of, first, do they think it's a formula? Even though we know that the race, neighborhood, identity, all of that goes into what type of story is told. And so I see it, but I want to confirm it and then learn from journalist experience. So I want to talk to them. I want to find out if there's a formula, yes or no, how they navigate their own formula at their own news station, and just figure out initially if they're aware that there's a formula for telling stories of crime and violence, particularly for men of color and black men and boys. Like, I really just want to hone in on that because it's important to my heart, it's important to my family, but it's important to all of us because we're all living and growing and pursuing things in this world. And it's like, why not have accurate portrayals? Because it makes you fearful, first of all. It makes you fearful of your neighbors. It makes you fearful of groups of people in general. And then two, it doesn't hurt to learn and break those molds and create new things. We're doing new things every day when it comes to laws and equality. And so how come our stories on everyday TV are not as told as accurately and honestly as they are when we create our own? So I don't even know what I was saying, but I really want to go in to get that level initially. And the next step will be to ask them where that formula comes from, whether it's the institution itself, like the people they're working for, or does it come from college, does it come from home? And I want them to factor in how their biases impact the stories they tell. So I'm going to ask them to bring in work that they produced and just walk me through that process. Like, tell me how this happened. And it's not to condemn anybody. It's not to harm the work that's already done, because it's already done. I really just want them to, the goal for me is to make it aware. And so that future journalists and future editors and producers can say, hold on, we're going to do this a different way. We're going to approach this in a different way. We're going to get more size. We're going to worry less about deadline, and we're going to do this correctly. And the last thing I wanted to talk to the journalists about is ways to rectify it. So now that we know it's a problem, and now that you see in your own work why this matters, what can you do as an individual, and then what can the institution do as a whole to better ourselves and really just change this problem? Because I'm bringing it back to my 14-year-old cousin, but it goes back to the hundreds of thousands of other kids, black, brown, Asian, in between, that are not represented correctly in the media. And the sad part is, sometimes, most times, news does perpetuate those stereotypes, and they make us fearful, and they make us think other things that aren't true. So it's important that I play my part, not only for the sake of my family, but generations to come. I want my kids and my grandkids to be able to turn on the TV and say, this person lived a life, this person had a life, and they portrayed it on the news correctly. And they don't have just half stories, or they don't have bogus sources or one source to explain the life of the person who was committed a crime or who was killed in a violent act. So I want this to be a reflexive kind of thing for me. I think it'll be a big part of my healing process as I don't want to cry, but I think it'll be a big part of my healing process as I go through understanding my cousin's murder, because we still haven't gotten justice for him. And so I think that by talking and speaking out my emotions and putting myself in a situation and letting the people, my subjects, know that I have a connection to this topic, and that shouldn't skew my results, I think that it will be helpful for me. It will help me learn. It will help me grow as an individual and as a journalist looking to go into this field after this master's program. So I'm trying to do some real things and make some real change, and I think that my project will allow me to do so. So please, like I said, keep me in your prayers when it comes to this New York at DC program. Pray that I get the internship that I'm supposed to have, and this project turns out well, because it really is bigger than me, and I want to be that push that makes us start waking up and makes us start understanding that these stories matter, these voices matter, and these people, first of all, the people behind these stories matter. It's not just about ratings or deadlines. It's about the people and the communities that these stories are told in and affected by. So next week I will come back to y'all with a new video, and as always, thank you for supporting me, and thank you for loving me. Volume 1 and Volume 2 of It's All Inside of You is on Amazon. They're in the description below, so please support me in that regard, and I thank you, and I'll see y'all next video.